Dear Taurus, prepare yourself for a revelation that may shake your solid foundation. Have you ever sensed that someone close to you not only lacks appreciation, but may even secretly wish for your instability? It's not always about overt threats. Sometimes it's the chilling energy of envy, masked by a friendly, even supportive facade. As you navigate your life, your practical intuition often sends you signals, a vague unease, a recurring number related to finances, or a nagging feeling that someone is trying to undermine what you've painstakingly built. This message is not merely a warning, it's a wake-up call from those who guard your peace. The one who harbors ill intentions may be someone you once entrusted with your values. In the next few moments, we will uncover a hidden truth, a karmic cycle repeating itself, related to your stability, and an opportunity for you to reclaim your inner peace and protect your achievements before they slip away. But first, let me ask you, have you ever felt that someone in your life secretly resents your stability or what you possess? If so, share your thoughts in the comments. I am awakening. I no longer take every empty promise at face value. After this, you will gain clarity on who might be wishing for your downfall. Sometimes you enter a familiar space, yet you feel an unsettling energy, a subtle disruption. It's not just your imagination. It's a subtle truth from the unseen world that your practical senses pick up. As a Taurus, your sensitivity to your environment and stability is profound, allowing you to sense what others try to hide beneath a polished surface. You hear the hollowness between flowery words and see the calculation behind smiles. Yet you often dismiss these feelings because your heart yearns for stability and believes in enduring relationships. Not everyone who smiles at you wishes you well. Some come not to share in your steadfastness, but to chip away at it, because your stability illuminates their own insecurity and lack. You might find it hard to believe, but someone who once valued your consistency may now secretly wish for your failure or loss. This is a truth you must confront. One viewer once shared, "I'm a Taurus. I feel that when I achieve something solid, someone suddenly grows cold. When I attain stability, they act as if it's no big deal. You are not unlikable, you are simply too grounded, and that groundedness can be unbearable for those still trapped in envy and insecurity." Your practical intuition is the first whisper from your inner guardians. Don't ignore it. If you've ever felt an inexplicable sense of dread when considering a financial plan, or felt compelled to double-check everything despite someone's trustworthy appearance, listen closely. These are not random feelings. They are messages from your guides urging you to recognize that your current environment may not be as secure as you think. Have you ever heard that quiet, firm voice urging you to distance yourself from someone or to be more cautious in your dealings? If so, you're not alone. Many Taurians have faced this dilemma. Some heeded the call and protected themselves, while others clung to a false sense of stability and eventually lost what they valued. Remember, not all wounds are inflicted by direct actions. Some arise from scrutinizing gazes, calculated silences, and feeling exploited in relationships you once fought to preserve. The person who hurt you may not have hated you. They simply couldn't bear your strength and achievements. The more stable you are, the more you reflect the unhealed, insecure parts of others. When they see their flaws mirrored in your success, they may react with resentment or subtle sabotage. But remember, it's not your fault. You weren't born to please anyone. You were born to build and enjoy. On this journey, some will admire you for showing them a model of perseverance, while others will resent you for revealing truths about their own inadequacies they're not ready to face. Take a moment to pause, breathe deeply, and ask yourself, did that gaze make me feel secure or make me want to guard myself? If the answer is the latter, then it's time to recognize who is sending toxic energy your way, even in silence. Dark souls don't announce themselves with signs. They come disguised as friends, partners, or even family. Yet your grounded soul knows the truth. You just need to listen. The tarot often highlights your practical intuition and connection to material value, Taurus. If you're watching this, it's time to reconnect with that power. Below this video, affirm to yourself, I choose to trust my instincts. This is a promise to yourself and a signal to the universe that you're ready to protect your peace and your hard-earned assets. Now, let's delve deeper into the truth. Who are these individuals, and why do they wish to see you fail or lose? There are those who once claimed to support you, but couldn't handle your growth and increasing strength. They may have called you their rock, their reliable one. But as you began to build your own empire, they felt threatened. When you find peace and abundance, it unintentionally shines a light on their insecurities and lack. They may withdraw or act coldly, leaving you to wonder what went wrong. Did you change, or did they simply become uncomfortable with your evolution and success? The truth is, there's nothing wrong with you. Your soul is evolving, accumulating value, while theirs may not align with your newfound solid energy. They don't literally want you dead, they just wish you wouldn't outshine them or find happiness and prosperity beyond what they can understand or achieve. This is a silent jealousy, a negative energy disguised behind familiar eyes. You may start to feel cautious even of their compliments, as if you owe them an apology for being too successful or too content. If you've ever found yourself in this situation, remember, I do not apologize for my success. You were not born to shrink or hide in the shadows, to spare others' feelings. You were meant to build, to shine, and if your stability makes someone uncomfortable, that's not your burden to carry. Sometimes the person who wishes for your downfall is not an enemy, but someone who once professed love or support. This isn't out of malice, it's often due to their inability to create value for themselves. Your solid presence can make them feel inadequate, which is not love, but attachment. When you break free from that attachment, you inadvertently become a threat to their fragile sense of stability. You've done nothing wrong. You are merely growing. And growth often causes what isn't true or beneficial to fall away. If you realize someone is no longer a safe space for your heart or your assets, don't force the connection. True love and support uplift and champion your evolution, while toxic relationships bind you in insecurity and fear of loss. If your intuition is signaling that something is amiss, heed that call. Intuition is the language of your inner guardians, a gentle yet urgent reminder that someone may be wishing for your downfall because they cannot bear to see you thrive without them or thrive more than them. This may sound daunting, but acknowledging the truth is far better than living in a comfortable illusion. Facing the truth allows you to heal and to choose connections that nurture rather than deplete your resources. Sometimes, forgiveness isn't the answer, especially when it involves trust and your core values, Taurus. It can pull you back into cycles of being undervalued or taken advantage of, cycles you've fought hard to escape. You're on the brink of true freedom and security. No one deserves to drag you back to a place of instability you've already struggled to rise from. There are moments when we don't need an apology or a grand gesture of remorse. We simply need the courage not to look back, to protect what we've built. Forgiveness doesn't always signify enlightenment. Sometimes, forgiving too soon, especially when it comes to breaches of trust or financial integrity, can open the door for further hurt and loss. Some wounds aren't healed through forgiveness, but through decisive withdrawal. Closing the door on a relationship that no longer offers value or security is sometimes the healthiest choice. When you forgive someone who hasn't truly acknowledged their actions or changed their ways, you deny them the chance to grow. You end up teaching them that hurting or exploiting you is acceptable because you always return or allow it. Consider a story I once heard about a Taurus man who highly valued stability and trust. He invested heavily in a partnership, forgiving dishonesty not once, but 3 times. The first time, he thought it was a mistake. The second, he believed in promises. By the third time, he realized he was clinging to an idealized version of the collaboration, not the reality. When he felt a sense of depletion instead of trust, he understood he no longer valued the relationship, but was merely holding on to what he had already invested. If you find yourself forgiving someone, ask yourself if it's because they deserve it, or because you fear losing a part of your stability or an investment you're tied to them. Forgiveness should free you, not bind you to obligations that are no longer sound. You'll find true liberation when you recognize that they no longer deserve a place in your secure space or future plans. Some apologies are strategic, not sincere. You don't have to be the most generous soul. You need to be the most secure and self-respecting. If you're feeling a twinge of pain as you listen, take a moment to breathe and affirm, I choose to protect my peace and my values. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Be honest about your feelings because your soul didn't come here to be a sacrifice for someone else's lessons or to have your security compromised. Your purpose is to learn, to grow, to remember the value within you, and to build a solid life. If you're questioning whether you're too rigid for not forgiving, remember, awareness is not coldness. It's knowing your boundaries and your worth. You can care for someone without allowing them back into your life to disrupt your stability. This time is different, Taurus. You're invited to break a karmic cycle related to misplaced trust or enduring things just to keep the peace, even at your own expense. This isn't just about feelings. It's about your soul's growth and protecting what you've created. Karma doesn't repeat lessons. It repeats people until you respond differently. You might be recalling someone familiar, their voice, their gaze, the warmth of their embrace, or their promises of stability. But if they haven't changed, you know deep down that not all emotional or material investments are worth sacrificing your peace for. If you've forgiven only to be hurt or exploited again, write this down. I choose to protect my peace and my assets. This is your first step toward true freedom and security. You deserve a peaceful life, free from doubt and unfulfilled promises. It's time to act. If you linger too long, you risk falling back into the cycle from which you fought so hard to escape, perhaps even having to rebuild from scratch. In the next segment, I'll guide you through recognizing the whispers of your solid instincts. Those seemingly random signals are warnings, and if you don't act soon, the door to your protection may close. Have you ever ignored your inner voice? A chilling, calculating gaze, a recurring dream of loss, or a series of numbers appearing when you're deep in thought about an investment? We often dismiss these as coincidences, but for practical souls like you, nothing is random. The universe communicates in subtle whispers. You just need to listen. Spirituality isn't superstition. It's the art of returning to yourself, to your core instincts. It's about trusting those initial signals, believing in your practical intuition, and recognizing that an unseen world is always with you, guarding your stability. When something feels off, it's often your inner guardians trying to communicate. I once spoke with a Taurus who, despite her rationality and success, began to have recurring dreams of a vault door being pried open with someone behind it. She didn't understand until she saw that same chilling, calculating look in real life from someone she once trusted in business. In that moment, she chose to withdraw. Trust your solid soul, Taurus. The universe never abandons you, but if you ignore your inner voice, you risk losing your greatest power, the ability to feel and assess for safety. If you've experienced chills or unease around someone, don't dismiss it. That energy may no longer align with your need for security. You don't need to prove your spirituality, just reflect on the times your intuition was right. What were the consequences of ignoring it? You'll realize that your gut feeling is your most reliable guide to safety and prosperity. The tarot often portrays you as the Empress or the Hierophant, deeply connected to the material world and traditional values. If you're hearing this, it's no accident. Your guides are using this moment to awaken you. If you continue to hold on to relationships that cause doubt and instability, you'll repeat old lessons in new forms. Ignoring these signs may lead to missing opportunities for true freedom and security. You could find yourself in a karmic relationship that your soul has already completed in a past life, enduring unnecessary suffering or loss. Karmic connections are soul contracts meant to be closed, not perpetually renegotiated. The most painful experience isn't just being hurt, it's knowing you'll be hurt, knowing your stability is threatened, and still choosing to stay. No one can save you if you don't wish to step out. Your guides can only whisper, waiting for you to return to yourself, to your inherent strength. If your heart aches hearing this, it's not a coincidence, it's your answer. If you feel uneasy around someone, trust that feeling. They may not be bad, but they no longer align with you, no longer bring value to your life. If you need a sign to walk away, this is it. Don't wait for another disappointment or loss. Your soul has already spoken. When karma begins its work, it won't be a punishment. It will be the natural consequence of ignoring your truth, of neglecting your need for security and stability. Karma will arrive, and there's no need for revenge or to prove anything. Just remain steadfast. Keep your heart peaceful and let karma handle the rest. Those who hurt you, exploited you, will face the consequences of their actions, while you acted with sincerity and integrity. When karma arrives, you may not feel joy. Instead, you'll feel relief that you chose to leave, to protect what is yours. You once longed for an apology, imagining a moment of acknowledgement, but true healing comes when you no longer need that validation. You don't need another apology. You need to return to yourself, to your peace and stability. Karma is not about retaliation, it's about balance. Those who deceive will face their truths in various forms, and they will understand the pain and loss they caused you. If you've witnessed karma in action, share your story. You're not alone in this. Some things don't require your intervention. Just keep your living space and soul clean from toxicity. You don't need to make anyone pay. Just let go of the hope for their return or their genuine change. When you truly move on, you'll realize you no longer crave victory or vindication. You simply want peace, not because they admitted wrongdoing, but because you've freed yourself from their influence and instability. The tarot often suggests a slow but certain journey. The more you release, the more you fortify your own stability, the clearer karma becomes. The universe rewards those who choose the light of truth and self-respect, even if it's just a faint glimmer at first. You've silently endured, drafted messages you never sent, and grappled with understanding how they could treat you poorly, take advantage of your kindness and patience. If you're still listening, perhaps you've changed. You're no longer willing to forgive out of fear of losing a false sense of stability or fear of confronting change. You're ready to return to the light of self-empowerment, to stop sending messages hoping for a different outcome, to cease looking back, and to embrace the truth that you are enough, that you deserve peace and prosperity. Take a moment to reflect. How many times have you forgiven the wrong person? How many times have you allowed your stability to be compromised? Will you choose differently this time? If you've listened this far, I invite you to declare, I choose the light, I choose myself, I choose peace and stability. Keep it simple, but be sincere. This is the sacred vow of a soul ready to be reborn in security and self-respect. Move forward as the one who has survived, the one who has faced the darkness of betrayal and instability, and still chooses love. Love with awareness, love with self-preservation. You are the steadfast mountain, and no matter who tried to erode you, you will remain standing, for your inner strength can never be extinguished. Thank you, Taurus, for staying with me until the end. Your presence here is a miracle. May you always be strong enough to keep moving forward, gentle enough to love yourself, and radiant enough to never be undermined or destabilized again.